good, bro? It's Ashley.
What's up, brother? Benji.
Nice to meet you, man. Still the original chassis, or it's majority of it is, yeah?
Yeah, bro. So still the original shell. Basically, going over the car, you know, we've kept the roof skin. We've got the door, all of the door skin and the doors, and we've got the coilover towers. Everything else is pretty much just chopped out of the car, just gutted out from underneath, all the way through the front. Obviously, we've got the PPRE 6 rotor in here, so she's over 1 metre long, so she had to go quite far back. So we would actually set this engine as past centre of where a 13B would be, so we actually set that further than what a 13B would be. So we've got a long transition of rear weight.
So how did there's old Billy. How did it handle first drive?
Yeah, it's not too bad, eh? It's so different. Like, my experience out there on the tarmac track is like really minimum. It's probably my first drive for this, first drive for me, you know what I mean? It's so yeah, everything's quite twitchy. She's yeah, the reactions on it are quick. But it sort of lights up, loses its traction really easy, you know. So we've only got the rotors on at the moment, sort of just gauging what levels of grip we want in the car, just for me to learn. You know, we don't want the thing to grip up too much and sort of take off. So, but yeah, it's good. It feels good. You know, it's controllable. It's relating to, you know, some common sense of driving it. So, which is wicked first off the bat. You know. So yeah. So we've only got the oil cooler up the front. Basically, you know, sort of reserved to the only place to put it. We needed a big bad boy there. So yeah, putting the radiator at the back. All of the water's at the back. We've got obviously the fuel tank at the back. We've got everything, you know, on or over the diff. So
okay, so with the chassis, how long did that take to build?
So Humphrey's Steel and Performance in Palmerston North, which is William Humphreys. He's the artist, the man around all fabrication. So I just dropped them off a shell, which only had 3 wheels. We just dragged it off the trailer, and he's just gone hard on it and gone home. So we had the inspiration between us and the ideas, but he blew my mind away. So, you know, he just went way further, and I dropped it off to him in May last year, and he had everything completed pretty much of what you see by September. So pretty much on a 4.5 to 5 month build, and he wasn't on it every hour of every day. It was just himself and one of his workers that helped him out basically on this, and then also the workload. So between other customers, you know, to sort of make his business still supply to everyone. So.
Okay, now with the suspension, it's wise fab up front and up rear, down the back as well?
Yeah, so we just got the wise fab kit up the front. We've got the BC Gold suspension coilovers throughout. You know, that's just all their full adjustable kits for the rebound, you know, damping and compression. So, and then in the rear, there's all custom subframe around a Winters custom axles, and then every arm geometry of the suspension is basically replicated from like an OEM like position we've still got, and then it's also replicated from like how it was designed, but we've lengthened, strengthened, and created adjustment through areas. So, you know, and obviously your camber and stuff like that, you know. So, but yeah, so she's all full custom in the rear from that perspective.
It's got quick jacks in it as well, yeah?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So we ended up getting those from New Performance. So they're not all plumbed up yet, so we'll be interested to try them out. Hopefully, make the life a bit easier, eh?
Okay, now brake setup.
Brake setup is just all Woolworths. So we've got a kit that actually I found on Pack Performance website for the front. That was a bolt-on bad boy. So that was rotor hat, you know, being 2-piece, and then obviously we got the 6-pot Woolworths up the front, and then we've gone with the 4-pot but dual calipers onto the handbrake, so it's got its own set for that, you know. So we had to configure and mount all of them and custom bracket, etc. But the front kit was a bolt-on from Pack, so that's pretty sick.
So do you run a line locker setup at all,
yep.
or you do as
we
well?
We can lock the front, lock the rear.
Okay.
Yep. So
it sounds like it's drift spec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is.
NZ style. Okay, so let's talk about the engine setup. So Darren at Billet Inc. Made the plates.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah. And then what about the shaft in it? Is that one of Darren's as well?
Nah, so the eccentric shaft was made here in New Zealand. I don't actually know exactly who and what people have delivered it. I believe it's between about 4 different companies. From, you know, the basis of getting one big lump of steel to being able to cut it all down, to being able to shape it, to being able to polish it, harden it. It was a process over many expertise, and it took about 4.5 months just to complete that. So that was started in January last year, well ahead of us getting onto the chassis, but created quite a timeline on the engine, you know.
So that's NZ built,
all
manufactured.
in New Zealand, yeah.
Okay, what about the center bearings and the oil galleries and everything? How far did you guys go with all that?
Pretty much PPRE Gareth, he's been there from day dot, worked all of his magic through that perspective. My knowledge to it hasn't been, I suppose, informed or me questioning him, you know, sort of as much on providing that information. It's sort of the build was just so quick. It's just, you know, all of a sudden it's a chassis drop off, and 6 months later she's this is what we got. So it's yeah.
So oil setup in it, it's dry sump or wet?
Yep, she's all dry sump. So we've hidden that little dry sump, just a little fat tank down in there. So she's just in front of the passengers. So pretty much we'll have a nice little panel covering that up with a Zusi on it, so we can get her off and on to check and fill.
Is it a Peterson style pump?
Yep.
It is, yep. Okay, inlet setup, is that completely custom brands?
Yeah, she's completely custom from like a PPRE perspective of the actual intake trumpets there, but then all of these are from the, you know, set up through EFI hardware, and then she's that custom ITG filter there, which they've got to produce because there's not much sort of 6-rotor parts in stock. So everything was a made to order, and when do you need it? We need it now, and yeah, we weren't probably in the best of times of how fast things got to the doorstep either. So for it to, you know, all come together was pretty cool.
Okay, now clutch and gearbox setup.
The gearbox is the HGT from the Precision there, so that's a 6-speed sequential. She can plug through. At the moment, I'm on the clutch. She can go through without clutch. We'll do a different setting on the ECM, and then there's also a kit that we'll probably try later, but I need to learn, you know, probably from the bones basics. It's going to teach me a lot more and probably slow me down. But there's a kit that actually configures with this, which is for the pedal shift. You can't run them both at the same time. We can have it so that we can disconnect to connect, so it could be something in the future that we look at on the gearbox, you know.
So is that ignition cut as well? Have you hooked that up as well? It does have that. Oh wow. Clutch setup?
The clutch is just a custom from Gareth. Yet again, I haven't actually diagnosed with the information on that. She's only a twin plate. It's something that they've been running through Mike's rotaries, and he's had like an exceptional amount of beating on them, and they've survived like a great length of time. So it's got a proven putting there, and he took care of that. So the 2 levers are the sway bars.
So you're more than welcome to line up at the pit
So front and rear sway bar.
Again, just make
Okay, so ECU setup in it?
So the ECU setup is Haltech, and so that's the main bank, the Monster, and the Haltech also runs a PDM, which is pretty much like a hardware data bank, you know, like where you can produce everything to go to one, with all of the channels being able to support a lot more than what just the ECM would be able to cope with. So he might only have you know, like a 5 output input situation or something, as an example. We've got a lot on this, you know, from call packs to you know, anything from wipers, lights, the whole 9 yards. So basically we put the PDM behind the driver's seat. We've got the Haltech main ECM behind the passenger seats. They're all tucked away on that firewall that breaks there, and everything's through to the analog, the digital button box cluster. So everything's all set up and pretty much auto configures itself.
So no more relays?
Which is fantastic.
Did it need any CDI at all?
Don't think so. No, don't think so.
Okay, so let's move on to the fuel setup in it. Talk me through what it's running and the setup. Yeah,
so I've got I think it's about a 65 litre radiant fuel cell in there, and inside the fuel cell that runs everything from the fuel pumps. There's a couple of them, and then also the surge system is inside the cell. So everything is all just basically combusted inside, all proofed off, sealed. It's connector all up, and it makes a really nice. We don't have a lot of room, you know, so it makes a really nice configured unit, sort of more plug and play. So she's running on pump gas 98, and she had a bit of a mild tune on that, and then she's also just completed yesterday at PPRE a E85 tune. So, and we pumped out a lot more power on that, and she's just got the don't actually know the name of it. It is in my head, but the little
flex
switch
sensor.
Yep, that's us. That basically configures the 2 fuels. So we just undo the feed line, and then put it into a tank. Click the fuel pump on, just drain out the 98, put it back in, fill it with 85, and that flexes and it already picks up, you know, where it's at, what to do. You don't touch it, nothing, she just picks up the octane and the difference, so it's real nice to have that. So like if we're just going to like a couple of shows, I just want to start it up and take it to a show on say 98. We go and buzz around the track when we want the power for E85, but we don't want E85 all through the system over maybe like a 2-3 month break, you know. It's sort of like corrosion towards seals and those sorts of things. So you basically just undo the line, fire it out, 98 in, 5-minute startup, and then she just sits there with the unleaded fuel, just, you know, all nice. So that's the fuel setup, which works well.
Now the question everyone wants to know, horsepower numbers. What did it make on pump? What did it make on E85?
Yes, we gave it a bash on the E85 last night. Started at 4, finished at 7. So you know, me pushing the time boundaries. We got 863 horse at the rear wheels. So the torque curve just followed it. It was basically they just from like a couple of thousand RPMs what she idles at. From there it just rockets straight up. So she reads to about 10 and a half on the soft limiter. So yeah, we probably won't beat too much above that, but it's 98 on pump gas. We had 750, so it's sort of 100 horse difference. So
Okay, now a big question, reliability on these things and the reliability going billet. So you've tackled two things. You went 6 rotor, which isn't proven yet. There's a lot of speculation about that, and then billet plates with inserts in them. Another very controversial subject.
Yeah.
What was it behind going billet on a 6 rotor? Like it's
billet to me was we wanted to be doing something that wasn't done in the 6 rotor scene. So you know, there's sort of the 2, 3 or so 6 rotors out there. A couple of them are unknown, and you know, there's obviously formerly the first one that's very well known. And we basically wanted to do something different from that perspective. Still stick with NA, the other ones are NA. So going billet, we found that one, it's going to achieve a lighter performance. 2, the heating cooling situation is going to be handled better, and 3, it's just cool as.
How
just love it. So
how have you with the cooling setup? How have you addressed that? Have you had to modify anything?
Yep, there's basically sensors through the whole thing of monitoring front to rear every housing, from like all oil pressure to you know, oil temperature to also the water, and then we've also journaled it in like 3 different ways through it compared to the other box. And the main scare is just literally what you're saying. It's long. She's travelling in a different direction, and everything's fed either from the front or rear. You know. So it is. We're sure we've counted it intermediate. You know, with being able to capture and cool and get supply to the front and rear rotors. You know.
So where are the feeds for the water? Is it coming in from the front and from the?
Yeah. These are 2 big water lines. They travel all the way to the back. I've actually we've cut them in that door there, so. We've actually travelled them in that little cell, windowsill there, so it's coming out to the back. So she's all PWR cooling, PWR front oil cooler from Australia. So
Where does it go into the plates as well? Are there feeds into the plates, like into the motor itself?
So see, bang bang, pick up, bang bang, bang bang. So
Wow, so 3 different.
Yeah, of what I was saying before. Yeah, so we've really tried to you know, provide to them equally. Is probably the better word, you know. So we're just coming in at the usual. It's probably not quite the appropriate for the ones at the rear are also housed in this tunnel. You know, they're not going to get the airflow that these 3 or 4 at the front are going to suck and steal, and also they're going to get a lot more heat and a lot hotter air. So when we finish the car, we would have a bonnet on here with a full trap of an air duct, being able to shoot right the way to the back under obviously the pressure, you know. So that's just to literally feed a cyclone to the rear because it will need it.
That's going to fit the factory guards, a factory front bar.
Yep.
All the panels will fit. Rear bar's going to fit all factory and just run like a buddy club kit or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've still got all the main runner whole way, you know, like, you know, going down. We've still got all the coilover. We've we'll keep talking with the perspective here, the firewall and what is in such of, you know, what we needed to create without going, you know, another level again, still keeping the FD like you say. So, and it's made our life a little bit easier from configuring it to exactly what you're saying, where one, we can achieve that suspension perspective of it, you know, on being able to like copy and perform and adjust and create the OEM still. Two, we get some bolt-on exceptional components, you know, that can provide through the car in the future, can also be updated, you know, well into the future of the, you know, off the shelf. They're always going to get improved. So we're sort of stuck with that, and putting all of the cosmetic kits to the outside is always a good hand, you know, off the shelf. So
I've got to ask two final questions. What was it like driving it for the first time?
yeah, she was pretty nuts. It was actually at home. I buzzed down my driveway, it's just a couple hundred metres long of concrete, buzzed back, and then I actually turned around, waited for the cameraman, which is my mate Dan, and he gave me the thumbs up, and I was like, he must be on. So, and it all just worked out in like perfection. So we just ended up doing a skid, popped those flames, and it was just smiles all around. We were pumped, and for him to catch us something that ironically worked out so perfect, just off his iPhone, like go bro, and we didn't even plan to hit the pad. So well, it's not really a burnout pad, but sort of turns it into it. But no, it was definitely sick. It felt, the comfort of it just felt straight away where you could, I'm only doing a donut, but you know what I mean? It felt in a way that in this small area, it was just hats off to William at HSP, you know, it's just the mastermind. Like what's in that head is, you know, is dreamable, and it just literally comes to fruit. It's done. So
Well man, yeah, hats off to you. I really hope you can take me for a drive, and well done.
Awesome bro, cheers.
But it I don't know if it feels like.
Where are you?
Well, that's if I sit up tall. That's just touching the roof.